Right, welcome to John Doyle's View on YouTube. You can hear more of these types of live interactions, where you can speak to me live actually about these types of subjects, any type of subjects, or hear me read poems, by the way, on www.blogtv.com/people/John Doyle Poems, or of course there are over 500 of them on YouTube currently. Also you can find me www.poetryvisualized spelled the American way, with a Z rather than S.com, and there was another place but I can't quite remember that. Though all of the stuff you can find on YouTube and blog. Some of the poems I've read out on Blog TV Live have been ones I haven't yet read out on YouTube, because I've run out of the same ones to keep reading. So obviously this John Doyle's View is about poetry. My view on poetry is the most obvious one. I should have done first, I suppose, but I didn't. Anyway, so what is my view on poetry? My view on poetry is that I personally believe anyone can write poetry, because I believe it is the expression of the soul, heart, mind, whichever you want to put, or all three at some stages. And I think that's the best type of poetry when I'm not one of these person actually says, I know I get a lot of this on when I'm on Blog TV and etc. and other places, broadcasting, as they say. Broadcasting, that sounds very serious. They say, oh, you're not a poet because your poems don't rhyme, and they have this very blinkered view, probably from school, that all poems should rhyme. Obviously I always quote back to them that John Milton's Paradise Lost or Paradise Regained rhyme, no it didn't. And there's lots of poets that don't rhyme. You don't have to rhyme. Mine are not rhyming poems. Mine are dramatic verse most of the time, or prose, or whatever you want, blank verse, or whatever you want to call them. And sometimes, I think that's, I don't like poetry where it rhymes, because you feel trapped and you have to construct every 2 lines, or every 4 lines, or every 3rd line, or whatever it is, the different quatrain rules for poetry, that you have to have a rhyme. And sometimes that forces you into using a word that you wouldn't necessarily have used, and also starts to make it sound a bit sort of schoolboyish, and it is just there for rhyming matter. I don't think you need it to rhyme. Mine are more lyrical in their sense that they sound right, as opposed to not always, but they sound that they fit, like songs. A lot of songs don't always rhyme, but they sound, the words fit nicely and they mean nicely and they are lyrical. So that's the way that I write them. So I don't have this opinion that you have to do this or that to write poetry. And a lot of the times, the whole point of poetry anyway is to express a thought or a feeling, through heart, mind, or soul. And you can get that more without having these rhyming matters. It's nice if it's lyrical in some sense, but even if it's not lyrical, if it's someone just expressing how they're feeling, then if you can capture that soul or that feeling, then that's poetry. And that's the way I think it should be. I don't think you need to worry about how long, how short, whether it rhymes and all that type of stuff. I think part of the reason why I write dramatic verse is because I can't write novels, in the sense that I don't like all the waffle, and a lot of readers don't like all the waffle and will pass through it. That's why I write dramatic verse, in the sense with Dead City and all that type of stuff. It's got, I find it constraining just to write about how someone's jacket was, or what the exact things were around in a room or whatever. It's all very nice when you hear it. I like hearing those types of things on audiobooks, but I don't like writing them, because I find they're not. I think it's because when I was growing up with my sister, we used to make for 10 years lots of different radio programs, whether it's music radio programs, drama, science fiction, all sorts of things, hundreds and hundreds of tapes. And I don't know how many, I must have over 500 different tapes, different programs. Above Top Secret was one of them I did after that's been put on YouTube. But that type of thing, where we would record science fiction, drama, comedy, all sorts of things. And a lot of the times I would write a plot line, so I would just write a page for the different plots. Some of it would be in my head anyway, so I wouldn't have to do that. But sometimes I do that, and I think that's what I've when my sister stopped recording them with me, I did a few on my own, like Above Top Secret, and actually one of them was called The Life of John Doyle, strangely enough. The name John Doyle, by the way, isn't my real name, but it comes from when I was at college. I used to use, when I had a poem in one of the videos that we made, I would put John Doyle so people wouldn't know it was me, so I could test them out and see whether it was any good or not. And that was when people said, oh, that was a really good poem, rather than the video, and that started me writing off them. And that also came at the same time, which she stopped making these radio programs with me, and then obviously other things took over, so I started writing the poems. And probably what I've done is transferred that idea of writing plot lines as poems, in the sense that's what I prefer, rather than all the extra waffle. So a lot of my dramatic verses will be plot orientated, so it tells you what's going on, so you get all the action and what the characters are thinking. Plus the other side of it will also be like their feelings and whatever. There's a lot of the Through the Dead City where you'll have like different plot bits where it's this character or that character, and then it'll go on to an episode or a part where it's just how he's feeling and general malaise and etc. Which I like writing about. And you'll be able to see The Void soon, which is, I've recorded 3 of them so far, so they'll be coming shortly on YouTube, and that's a science fiction one. So yeah, that's my basic view on poetry, that I don't think you have to follow the constraints of every poet has advanced it. Shakespeare changed how poetry was written, and lots of other poets have as well. And Lewis Carroll, was it? Which was the one that added words to the dictionary, just made them up and put them in? It wasn't Lewis Carroll, it was the one who wrote C.S. Lewis, was it? I'm not sure which one. No, I think it was Lewis Carroll, actually. That's in Wonderland, he'd make words up and just add them in. And I think as long as it makes sense, as long as you get something out of it, or someone gets something out of it, which is the most important part. Especially if you can make a poem rhyme, but it has no feeling, no depth, it doesn't make you think, then okay, it's very nice and it sounds nice and you might be able to remember it, but did it really make you think? Did it really make you feel? That's the type of poetry that I'm interested in writing and interested in listening to. So I think that's enough, isn't it? So you've got a fair idea of where my poetry is coming from. Heart, mind and soul, wherever that is.